right, welcome to another episode of Piecing It Together, the podcast where we take a look at a new movie and try to figure out what movies inspired it. And today on the show, it's a DC superhero movie. We're talking about Blue Beetle. And joining me for this one, we've got filmmaker Lizette Hunter, and we had a great conversation, lots of great fun puzzle pieces to get into for this one. That's coming up in a second. Before we get to it, I do want to remind you, as always, to make sure you're subscribed to Piecing It Together wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow us on social media at PiecingPod and join our Facebook group, Popcorn and Puzzle Pieces, where we continue the conversation about all the movies we talk about here on the show. Aside from that, I do want to remind you today that we do have a Patreon, the Produced by David Rosen Patreon, where I post bonus and advanced content from Piecing It Together, from Awesome Movie Year, and from my music career. We got a lot of stuff on the Patreon right now. I'm in the middle of releasing a bonus soundtrack album that's exclusive to the Patreon. So there's that. There's a bunch of Piecing It Together episodes, including this one as soon as I finish editing it and whatnot. And a whole bunch of other great stuff. So check it out. It's patreon.com/bydavidrosen. I appreciate you all being out there listening. But of course, if you want to support the show that way, I appreciate that too. So with that said, let's get to our conversation about Blue Beetle. All right, it is time to get into Blue Beetle, and joining me today, we've got Lizette Hunter. Lizette, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about this one. I had a lot of fun with this movie, and I know we had met at the Nevada Women's Film Festival, and we've been talking for a while now about getting you on the show, so I'm really happy to have you here. Before we get into Blue Beetle, though, since it is your first time, why don't you tell my listeners a little about you and what you do?
Well, I'm an actress and a filmmaker. I say filmmaker. I made like about 2 movies.
That's a filmmaker.
It's something. I do write. I've only half directed one of my films, but the other one I was the lead and the co-writer and the executive producer on it.
Absolutely, and that's what I saw at the festival. Correct?
Yes, Hermanita. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah, and it was great. And it's great to have you here. I'm always looking for new voices on this show, and filmmakers especially, because it's always fun to get filmmakers' point of view on these kinds of movies. And jumping right into Blue Beetle, these kinds of movies, superhero movies, are kind of, I feel like we're all a bit burned out on them. So when one comes along and is actually fun and a good time, like that's a nice thing. And I don't know exactly how you felt about Blue Beetle, but I know I had a good time with it, and that makes me happy because these movies have been a bit of a drag lately. Did you enjoy Blue Beetle?
Oh, I did enjoy Blue Beetle. What's funny is I don't know, please don't cancel me, but I haven't watched many superhero movies. Like there's just so many to see. And I always just thought maybe I'll wait till my son's older and I'll binge them all. But like growing up, I didn't watch too many. So I don't feel too burned out yet, but like, that's why I don't know if I really did enjoy the film. So I don't know what's good and what's bad in a superhero movie. But I mean, alone, just with Blue Beetle, the soundtrack alone, I was just, amazed by it. And so that's why I made it so fun, because you just have a lot of the Hispanic music and in a mix of like new and old. And they just so good with that. And also just how it's family oriented. And it was great.
No, absolutely.
I thought it was a lot of fun. My son loved it. We're pretty much going to buy it when it comes out.
Yeah, right on, right on. Were you familiar with this character?
No, not at all.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about him.
I had no idea. I just knew he was a Hispanic superhero. And I'm like, okay, well, I want my son to watch this. And, hopefully he's good and somebody that he can, look up to or something, But
Sure.
I had no idea. I grew up with, Batman. Pretty much Batman was like the only superhero movie I really did watch. So, I mean, Michael Keaton. Uh,
Right.
gotta love that one.
Yeah, how could you not? But
Yeah.
yeah, no, absolutely. So that's cool though. That you're excited for your son to see this one, and that he ended up liking it. So
Mhm.
that's awesome. And I think with that said, we'll get into a lot about the movie along the way. Let's just start getting into some puzzle pieces here. What do you have for your first puzzle piece for Blue Beetle?
For Blue Beetle, I thought of, because it was family and secrets. I recently Encanto, because that was just
Sure.
so last year big in our family household, nonstop watching it. There's a lot of secrets in that one.
Yeah, I think Encanto is a great one, and especially the family angle.
Yes,
I think the fact that all the family is like in the adventure together, and just they're all just down to just jump right on in and be a part of this whole thing. And
right.
I have to assume that Encanto was like a literal puzzle piece, like it was exactly something they were aiming for when they made this movie, knowing that they were going to make like this first like big Latinx superhero experience, like that they were going to go for something like that. And
Hmm.
so yeah, I think that's a great one to kick it off with, and
Yes.
a great puzzle piece here. I will go with half of my pieces are superhero related, half of them are going other directions, but I'm going to start with the superhero one just because I feel like it's the most obvious, at least from my point of view. And that is a combination of two movies. I'm going to actually just throw together because I have a bunch of pieces, but these
Okay.
both are like practically the same movie. Venom with Tom Hardy and Upgrade, which was a smaller indie film directed by Lee Winnell, which is basically Venom, but a different version of Venom. It's like the same thing. Did you see Venom with Tom Hardy?
I've seen parts of Venom because my son did like get into him, but I was like, this is kind of scary.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a dark one.
like 6 or 5, and I'm like, this seems too much because he's extreme.
Yeah, no,
The
it is.
mask and everything was kind of scary. I mean, I like horror movies, but I'm like, what are you watching here?
Well, upgrade is that, but even scarier and
Okay.
even more horror-esque. But just the idea that this superhero, this character, is like in this symbiotic relationship with the thing that is giving him all these powers, and he doesn't really have full control over the whole
Hmm.
situation. Like he is just along for the ride, but then ends up becoming like engaged with that thing that's taken him over, and they end up working together, of course, because he is a hero. And that is something that happens in Venom. It happens in Upgrade. They
Okay.
all three of these movies, they have that same kind of thing going on. And so that was the first one I wanted to throw in there. And as far as superhero movies go, I think it's like the clearest analog to this in what happens with Blue Beetle.
Well, yeah, it does. With Blue Beetle, he had no control over, it choosing him.
Yeah,
So, and I did see that part in Venom, like him at the bar and like, normal. And then all of a sudden it just like, next he was like transforming um, and that's the cool thing about with superheroes. What I noticed is like most of them, don't they just get chosen? Like it's something like just fate happens and it falls
sure.
into them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Either, Spider-Man getting bit by a spider randomly,
Hmm.
or, everybody has their origin stories. And a lot of the times, yeah, it's just something that happens. And from
Right.
that point forward, they are the superhero. And it's cool when like, that character is able to like, deal with it and like make it a part of them and like add their personality to this thing. And I think we get a lot of that in Blue Beetle with the fact that this actor, Xolo Mariduena, who plays Blue Beetle, very, very charismatic actor and very just like kind of silly, fun kind of a presence on the screen. And
Yeah.
I think that between that and an all powerful, super over the top, crazy superhero persona like Blue Beetle, like it
Hmm.
meshes that really well. I think they do a good job of combining the two personas. But
Yeah, that part was really fun with Blue Beetle is like, I mean, kind of like Superman, no, Spider-Man, even,
mhm,
what his character has like a little like fun in it and he's just a normal person, but it's like being, take controlled over. But that was
yeah,
fun to see in Blue Beetle is like those little characteristics of him and just normal, but it's like, what's going on?
yes, absolutely,
Yeah, that
absolutely.
was really
What do you
fun.
What do you got for your next one?
The next one, because I thought of still with the family, was it was really hard to find like a family movie where it talks about a good family, like, and there not being secrets, or there's always, you would look up family classics online, and there's always like some issue in the family. So I was like, where's a family movie that the family's just good, and it's nothing bad going on? And it was really hard to find, but I thought of Cheaper by the Dozen.
Okay.
That one was
Right
like
on.
the only one that I was like, they kind of didn't have too much bad going on. They
Mm.
had their bickering, which family has, but like there's nothing like serious issue going on. So I thought of that, Cheaper by the Dozen.
Yeah, no, that's a fun one, and definitely for like the family aspect. Like, yeah, this is just a really happy family that loves each other so much, and I think
Hmm.
that that's part of what makes this one work and what makes it
Right.
fun. I'll jump right into my next piece, which is along that same lines of the family thing. I'm going to go with the animated movie The Mitchells versus the Machines,
Okay.
which is just like a goofy, dorky family who all love each other, and they're all just, they have their quirks, and they all play off each other so well, and they're all just a thousand times like down for adventure, especially the grandma here in Blue Beetle. Like, she is like
Oh
ready
my
to go,
goodness.
She is
Even
so ready
even
to go.
George Lopez's character was just,
Yeah.
they're just, they were so great together, that family. Just so fun. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed watching that. The grandma, I didn't see that coming, but that was amazing.
Yeah. I feel like I wonder if any of our grandmas are, have that kind of crazy backstory that we'd never know about until shit hits the fan. So
I know. I would love to see that. And that's why I love seeing that happen, because it's like, whoa, grandma. It's like, we have to, as when you become a parent, you just, some stuff it's like left behind. So I could see how grandma, she left her past behind. And then when stuff got real,
Oh yeah. She's ready
she
to
got to
just
show her colors.
throw it right back out there. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. What do you got for your next puzzle piece?
For the next one will be what we just talked about earlier, was Spider-Man. Like the newest Spider-Mans, I did watch. Those are the ones I did get to see, all three of
Mm-hmm.
them. And they're just, they're fun. I know there is some kind of sadness to it, and with the family. But
Yeah.
I did enjoy those superhero ones.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think the funny thing about Blue Beetle is like, because like when I reviewed this movie on Letterboxd, like I said that it's Iron Man, it's Spider Man, it's Batman, it's Superman, like it's all these little things from all these different superhero movies. But I think Spider Man is like maybe the top of the list, either Spider Man or Iron Man. But definitely there's so much of that Tom Holland Spider Man, and
Yes.
especially in the way that that the lead plays Blue Beetle, like when he's just so like overwhelmed by everything happening around him and everything that's going on. So
Yeah,
definitely, I think that's a great one.
I do think he probably maybe looked into some Tom Holland kind of, because it did look a lot like Peter Parker and him and the newest Spider-Mans, which is fun. It's really fun to see that. And it makes it like you laugh at it. And I really did enjoy that part of his character in Blue Beetle.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Hmm.
I will go for my next one. I'm gonna go with RoboCop. This is one that was like one of the first things that came to mind, mainly because of the villain in Blue Beetle, Susan Sarandon, and her whole plan to basically create this like task force of like robot human hybrid people who of course are just going to go wrong. That's never
Yeah.
a plan that goes for good. It's always ends up going evil. And so it's like this movie isn't as it doesn't have that deep of satire or anything like that like the RoboCop did back in 1987,
Yeah.
but I mean it is something that like you can obviously see a parallel with the way that those villains are. And as far as like metaphor or whatnot, there is some of that here, like especially with the scene where that entire division of the police are coming. Like you could see it as a metaphor for like immigration raids or whatnot,
Hmm.
and police brutality, which is pretty well done. I mean, for such a light, silly movie, I mean that scene was pretty horrific, and so
Yes.
that's something. RoboCop was like a huge indictment of like police brutality and just how awful all that could be. So I think like there's plenty that can be drawn as comparison to RoboCop, and I would imagine that's something that was on the filmmakers' minds here.
Well, that's a really, really good one. And then the Susan Sarandon villain part,
Hmm.
I mean, I wasn't expecting that either. And, with her being part of the family and then, turning everything around. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I did like also what you said, how subtle those little things were with the police brutality were.
Yeah.
And then also when her little helper, the
Yeah.
Hispanic helper, and
Yeah.
his redemption part was like I honestly started clapping in the movie theater regarding that.
Nice. Nice.
As-
Yeah. That poor guy.
I know, I really was like, yes, support the people, do it.
I did love every time they showed a scene of him like his transformations or whatever. That guy can yell. Like he
Oh
just like
yeah.
puts his hands on his head and screams like that. That
Oh
guy's
man.
is good. Is good. Well, what do you got for your next puzzle piece?
The next one I would probably do, which growing up as a '90s, I was born in the '80s, but grew up in the '90s, was The Mask. The Mask
Nice.
was so fun. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe I shouldn't have been watching some parts back in the day, but it
Oh,
was
Jim
so
Jim
fun.
Carrey comedies rule. They all ruled.
I mean, yes, they do. Jim Carrey, anything for the most, he's gold. So
Yeah.
I would say The Mask.
Yeah, no, that's a great one. And yeah, I mean, we were talking about it earlier with like Venom and Upgrade and like just how, uncontrollable the power is, like that he's trying to get a handle on it. And that goes right back to The Mask too with Jim Carrey. And just like how much chaos it all costs.
Yes,
And, when he first turns into Blue Beetle here and ends up just like destroying a bus and all kinds of crazy stuff, like,
the
that's straight up
house,
Mask. Yeah, and the house going through the
yeah.
roof and back down through again and everything. All kinds of crazy stuff like that.
And then just the family witnessing, which was fun with The Mask, was it the dog? The dog's just watching
Yes,
all of it go down while he's being chosen too. Like,
yeah, that's what we need in Blue Beetle too, is a Chihuahua that
yeah,
gets.
that would have been fun. Maybe in the oh, well, we'll see. We'll see if they go
Yeah,
for another one. I don't want any spoiler
yeah.
alerts.
Let's hope so. All right, I will go with another one. This kind of goes along with RoboCop, but I'm going with Terminator 2 for my
Oh,
next puzzle piece. He doesn't want Blue Beetle to kill anybody. So John
hmm,
Connor and the T-800, but basically merged into one body. He's like he
right.
is the Terminator, and he doesn't want himself to kill anybody. So it's kind of a simple one, but I think it's a pretty clear thing here, the way that he doesn't want anybody to die, no
Oh
matter
yeah,
how evil they are.
right. And that's oh man, Terminator 2 was just part of my childhood. I watched that so many times, and you're right. It's just also being misunderstood. People
Hmm.
look at you and judge you by your how you look, and then it's like I'm just trying to do good. I'm trying to not prevent anything to happen. But just because this guy looks normal doesn't mean he's not bad. Which was the bad guy in Terminator look a little bit more normal than Arnold Schwarzenegger. So
Yeah.
I mean, that was really cool about that too. With that movie is that yeah, he is trying to do good.
Yeah,
Try
absolutely.
not kill nobody,
Yeah. Yes,
please.
definitely.
Blue Beetle too, and
Definitely.
that I love seeing that. He's like, this isn't me, kind of thing.
Yeah, that goes back to the whole family friendly thing too.
Hmm. And Peter Parker too. Just they're
Sure.
not trying to kill anybody. They want to be
Absolutely.
good superheroes. Even like
Yes.
I was also really big on the Punisher. It's like he also is like a misunderstood kind of character who is
Hmm.
just like somebody who just tries to do good and tries to. I mean, he eliminates the people that shouldn't be around, but
Yeah. Well, some people they got to get it.
they got to
So,
get it. Yeah.
what do you got for your next piece?
Next one will be back to more like just family fun, and also another 90s movie would be The Sandlot.
Oh,
Because The
nice.
Sandlot was
Yeah.
just so fun, and I felt that kind of energy in the movie theater. Was everybody, all the kids in there, they were just having so much fun, and like with The Sandlot, same thing, nonstop. Kids just during the summertime want to just have like the best time of their life, and then the kids inside the movie theater, especially my son, they were just living their best life.
Sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the family aspect, I think we keep going back to it with all these puzzle pieces. It feels like the family aspect is the big thing of this movie, more
Hmm.
so than any of the action or the plot or any of that stuff. It seems like the family stuff is like the main thing, and I think
Yes.
The Sandlot's a great one for that.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, great one. I'll go with my last puzzle piece then, Dora the Explorer,
Oh
which
yeah.
was so much fun. And again, another like Latinx adventure that we don't get enough of like that kind of point of view, but movies that really just go all in on family, on
Mhm.
adventure, on just silliness, just over the top silly family stuff. And that one was a blast, and
Yeah.
more of like the Indiana Jones adventure kind of thing instead of the superhero thing, but similar family aspects, similar fun aspects, and a great movie that not enough people saw.
I do. That Dora does give that little Indiana Jones when, especially for a female character, which is like, yay, keep it
Yeah,
going.
for sure.
Oh wait, I
Absolutely.
love Indiana Jones. I still have to see the new one, but
It's fun. It's a lot of
the
fun.
old ones still hold up.
Oh yeah. The old ones are
My
amazing.
son recently, we saw the first and the second one, and I think we're still on the third. But like,
Hmm.
he got into them. He really
Yeah,
enjoyed them.
absolutely. I think you could throw a little bit of Temple of Doom in this movie too, and Blue Beetle,
Oh
possibly.
man, I love Temple of Doom is like my favorite Indiana Jones. That one, yeah,
Nice.
that would be really cool to see. Maybe like if they continue on a little more adventure, like going deep in like where this is coming from. So I think there is more to Blue Beetle that we are waiting to see,
Sure.
like where it comes from.
Yeah, because the scarab that they had to like unearth in the beginning of the movie, like there's probably other stuff like this out there that the characters in this world can go out and
Right.
find, and then we're going straight up, adventuring. So that would be a
Yeah.
lot of
Then
fun.
it's gonna be endless.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll read down the list of puzzle pieces we just talked about, and then we'll get into some closing thoughts here. We talked about Encanto, Venom, Upgrade, Cheaper by the Dozen, The Mitchells versus the Machines, Spider Man, Robocop, The Mask, Terminator 2, The Sandlot, and Dora the Explorer, and threw some Indiana Jones in there
I
too.
know. Indiana Jones.
Yeah, why not? Might as well. But yeah, like I said already, like, it feels like the main through line here, aside from, a few things like Robocop and Terminator, are the family aspect. Like, that's kind of the main thing here. And yeah, I mean, this family really portrays the best kind of fun, silly, goofy family adventure. And I think that's why this movie works well.
Yeah, definitely. And also just, even though there's the secret part of like families, and then how they get chosen, the family's still there for them no matter
Hmm.
what. Even secret, bad or good, they're just like, it's okay, we'll conquer this and we'll make it work.
Yeah, yeah, we'll figure
Broken
out everything else later.
yeah, broken house, broken
Yeah.
buses, we'll be fine.
We'll be all right.
Yeah,
It'll
we'll be
be
all right. We'll
cool.
make it work.
George Lopez is pissed, but he'll get over
Oh yeah. Yeah,
it.
he was a really fun character. I love that part. Like, don't say my name.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, right
Yeah.
on. I think that does it for Blue Beetle. Lizette, is there another movie you watched recently that you'd like to recommend to our listeners?
Recently, God, what did I see recently? Well, because I'm a big, well, with Halloween coming around, I did watch the newest Scream. Well, I know it's
Hmm.
not too new, but I'm behind, but I just came out so to watch streaming, so I watched the new Scream 6.
Right on. I still need to catch up on that. I That's one movie I missed in the theaters. I was just too busy, but
Hmm.
I'll have to see it before the end of the year, I'm sure. Especially because there's like probably another 5 or 6 more on the way.
I know.
So They'll never
Well,
end on
yeah,
that.
and that too. And Halloween, like I said, Halloween's coming up, so maybe it's a time to just, I recommend people to watch it. I do
There you
like,
go.
Ghostface. He's like one of my favorite, like villains, murder people.
Yeah, absolutely. He is fun.
Yeah.
Well, right on, right on. Lizette, tell people where they can find you and your work.
You can follow me on Instagram at Lizette_Hunter. That would be the best place to see like what I've done. I'm not so good at posting, but I do post when I go to film festivals, when we have a next screening going on. For my short film, Hermanita, will be screening next at the El Paso Film Festival. And that'll be at the
Nice.
end of September. And I'm really excited for that because actually I'll be going back home. Like that's where I'm from, is from, Juarez, Mexico, and El Paso. So I'm from there. So it's great that I'm bringing it back home to my family there.
Oh, that's
Family.
fantastic. That's
Back to the
awesome.
family theme.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. Well, that's great, and I'm happy to hear that you're getting to do another screening like that. That's awesome. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me on piecing it together, and hopefully we'll get you back again sometime.
Oh, yes, please. I love talking movies. So anytime.
Hey, it's Ashley Ray, and I host the podcast TV I Say. Have you ever referred to television as your friend? Do you want 10 more seasons of And Just Like That? Did you rewatch every episode of King of Queens in 2020? Then this is the podcast for you. Join me and a new guest each week to discuss your favorite TV shows and my 90 Day Fiancé hot takes and my Below Deck hot takes and basically all my TV hot takes. Listen to TV I Say wherever you listen to your podcasts.
All right, so I hope you enjoyed that conversation about Blue Beetle. Thanks to Lizette for joining me on that one, and thank you to all you for listening. If you're enjoying piecing it together, of course, make sure you are subscribed. And if the app you're subscribed in happens to have a 5-star button, I would really appreciate it if you hit that button and leave a little review. It helps make sure that more people get to check out piecing it together, and that's why we do what we do here. And I'm always looking for new guests, so if you're ever interested in joining me for an episode, please do get in touch. We've had like a constant string of new guests lately, and it's just been awesome, and I'm always looking for people, so please get in touch. You could, of course, find me on social media at PiecingPod. You could join our Facebook group, Popcorn and Puzzle Pieces, and you could contact me through our website, piecingpod.com. I told you about the Patreon at the top of the show. I'm not going to go through that whole spiel again right now, but what I will do, we always close these episodes out with a piece of music, and what I'm going to do today is close out with a piece of music from that exclusive album I told you about that's only on the Patreon right now. It is a soundtrack to a film I scored last year called Jacqueline. You can watch Jacqueline on Tubi right now, but this is part of the music from Jacqueline. This is a track called What Makes You Tick. And this entire 16-track score is available exclusively on the Patreon. So if you want to check out the rest of the score, you can sign up for the Patreon at patreon.com/bydavidrosen. And otherwise, I have a whole bunch of other music out on streaming. But if you want to check this one out, that is where it is exclusively. So I hope you enjoy this piece of music. We will be back with more piecing it together real soon.
An All Points West production, produced by David Rosen in Las Vegas.